Hey y'all, we're back. We're here at Hot Tales in Prairieville, Louisiana.
And we're joined by Norton Christopher at Norton_NOLA on Instagram, a top 100 craft bartender in the U.S. So Norton, what does that mean to be a top 100 bartender?
So neat process. This is hosted every year by Diageo and United States Bartenders Guild. They pair up and they go around in a submission format at first, and they'll have thousands of applicants come in. They'll apply. You have to do menu creation, concept design, and really show that you can tell a story through your cocktails. This previous one, it was 4 cocktails. I did one for spring, summer, fall, and winter, of course, even though we don't have those traditional seasons here in South Louisiana. But we wanted to stay true to kind of what most people's concepts of a seasonal rotational menu is. And so you get to advance through that if you're selected, and you go through additional processes, more development, more design on cocktails. It gets a little more elaborative into specific things they would like to see. And of course, it's hosted by Diageo, so we're using brand portfolios here. So we're talking about Johnny and Kettle and Don Julio and different things of this nature. And it's a very large platform on a global scale that starts off very local. And if you're privileged enough to make it and become the number one in the United States, you move on to that point to go into the globals and try to represent the United States. I was privileged enough to this year be the only person in Louisiana to get this accolade, so to say, which it's nice. It's nice to, this has been a long road for me. I grew up in Northwest Louisiana on a small family farm. So bringing these type of flavors and fresh ingredients to the bar and be able to kind of showcase that to not even just local, nationally, but also on a global scale, it's really neat.
That's awesome, man. And you said you grew up on the farm, and I've had the pleasure of having a lot of your cocktails over the years. And that's one thing that I can say kind of sets your stuff apart is you always have fresh ingredients. You always have stuff that you prepared yourself. So what do you think that adds to your cocktail making?
Well, in any concept, especially when it comes to ingredients, yes, we have all these different techniques. We can preserve things, we can dehydrate things, but to have an ingredient fresh at its optimal, that there's nothing better, right? I grew up, again, in North Louisiana, so grandma would send me out. Let's go pick some berries. Let's go grab this. What do you want for lunch and dinner? And that was a matter of just going around the property and grabbing berries off vines around our fence line, or going out to the field and actually picking some things that she would chop up and use in a meal. And when you have that immediate exposure to those type of flavor profiles, there's nothing that ever replaces it. And Tom Cruise was the world's bartender on Cocktail, the movie. And I mean, full transparency. I mean, that was one of the beginning kind of motives for me. You kind of see that fame and spotlight and everything that he has to grab, and you kind of shoot for that. So also in the time I grew up, at this time I was in high school, so East Texas, there were no, privately owned high-end restaurants. Craft cocktails was still just re-emerging in New York and Chicago and San Francisco. And so there was just, that platform didn't exist.
Gotcha.
So this was more about, just becoming a bartender. You're a bartender through college. You're having fun late nights. You're just kind of the center of attention. And it really never began with the foresight and kind of vision of getting to where I'm at now. It never involved having the concepts of bringing dishes that my grandmother would make and translating them into a cocktail. That was never the plan. And the plan was med school. And, always ended up back in restaurants. And, but Tom Cruise really kind of just gave that immediate, what it could be kind of exposure. So I started practicing flair. I started doing these different things. And then it began, I think, an inspiration and a spark for research, if anything.
And I guess we're lucky and the rest of the cocktail world's lucky that cocktail came out before Top Gun, or else
You might be a fighter pilot.
we might be a fighter pilot. We might never have
jets.
any of your delicious drinks that we enjoy all the
Yes, which would be fine.
Yeah.
I would not mind it a bit.
I'm thirsty now from listening to you talk.
Yes.
So would you mind whipping us up a couple cocktails?
Yeah, that'd be good. All right. We are going to start off this party with an old fashioned, as every party should start. So rocks glass, Angostura bitters. Going to do about 6 to 8 dashes of that, just depending on your preference. A few dashes of orange, same there, 2 to 4. This is going to be a double strength Demerara syrup. So your typical syrup will be equal ratio of sugar to water. This will be double sugar to water. So for example, if you have 100 grams of sugar, you would want 50 grams of water. This, we're going to do our house old fashioned. We're big fans of Pinhook. Sean Josephs has a very direct role in me getting into the whiskey and bourbon world. So what we like to do is a 50-50 of their bourbon and rye. That's the rye going in, and then the bourbon, of course. We like to use a large format cube for this. That is for less dilution and just enough to really get it to where it needs to be. Nice and chilled, but not over diluted. I'm sure in plenty of books they will tell you how many hundreds of times to stir this and spin your fingers until they fall off. What I like to do, use the back of your 2 fingers, check glass temp, right? Not ready. So you'd want to go about 5-10 more seconds. You'll really feel the glass, the ice rock will kind of break free of the structure of the glass and have a little more freedom of movement. As a very good indicator, it is ready. Boom. We use citrus, both orange and lemon. Orange and a lemon. Something unique that we do here, we like to flame our citrus. What this is going to do is really set those. We have the essential oils in our pills, and to be able to char those really implements a flavor and imparts not necessarily a smoke or a char, but just a depth of flavor you're not really going to be able to get from anything else. If you notice, the oranges and lemons had a little condensation on them, so you kind of just want to dry that off first, and then just give it a nice little squeeze. We're in the glass with those oils, both inside and outside. Again. Inside, outside, right? Cherry to go with it because we need something to eat while we drink. Cheers. Next, we will do a Bloody Mary because after we have our old fashioned, we need something of substance. And that substance is tomato juice. So, glass. What we do here at Hot Tails, we have our boil mix, and then we also have our Cajun Select Cajun Spice. We do a 50-50 blend of that, so you get the nice spice and citrus from our boil mix, but a little more depth and herb from our Cajun Select. We're going to reserve this lemon. Mix. For our house, we use sugar-filled vodka right down the road, Gonzalez. Great guys over there doing a lot of stuff, vodkas, gins, rums, different liqueurs. We utilize quite a bit of their product. They've really reached out as across the board spirits, but what they really do use, really what parallels with my philosophies and beliefs, is that they are using a lot of Louisiana produce. I run a Garden to Glass program, so we like to use as much as possible, as close as possible, right? 1.5 ounces of the sugar filled. We have our own Bloody Mary batch at Hot Tails. This is available for purchase. We always want to put that in before the ice so that the vodka and the Bloody Mary mix homogenize really well. The one of my biggest pet peeves is getting a Bloody Mary and you have half of your glass is vodka and half of your glass is mix. We're here to do the work as bartenders, so let's limit that for the guests and let them just drink, right? Ice right on top. We reserved our lemon. We don't want to waste a lemon just from rimming the glass, right? We have a pepper blend. So we got pepperoncinis, pickled okra, pickled green beans, and a Castelvetrano olive. Those olives are very near and dear to my heart because that is the olive that got me eating olives. They're very nice and buttery and not too bitter. With everything I do, it requires a little fresh herb. Dill really lifts it up, provides a nice brightness to it, and that's the Bloody Mary. Cheers. Next, we will jump right into the Prairieville Pimm's Cup. It is just like a regular Pimm's Cup, but we like to enjoy it here in Prairieville. So, that's what we named it. We're going to take our shaker. Right? One thing we also do, a big part of more modern bar programs to create that efficiency and consistency and to give us more time to really gain that experience and that relationship with our guests is pre-batching. So we're able to put all the ingredients into a bottle and again, create those things, right? So I'm not just pouring one thing into this glass and putting it in there. Everything is in this bottle that I need for the most part. Things that are in this bottle, we have sugar-filled gin, we have Pimm's liqueur, there is lemon, there is lime, there is lavender bitters, there is cucumber juice. We're going to shake all of that. We're going to strain that into a fresh glass. You want this cloudiness. That means your proteins are well homogenized and everything is mixed really well. We're going to top with ice. And finally, some Q-Tonic ginger beer. Q brand really has a great ginger content. There's a lot of ginger beers out there that are very soft. Again, this is a preference thing. I really want to impart those ginger flavors. I use Q-Tonic so I don't have to parallel that with additional ginger flavors, right? So I don't have to have fresh ginger juice or anything like that. Everything's in the bottle that I need. This is going to have some fresh dill. So this one, being the cucumber base, I always release this during spring. This is my mimic to having fresh pickles. So along with the cucumber base that is very traditional with a Pimm's Cup, I like to impart the dill as fresh herb. So we have our cucumber, our dill, to go along with our citrus juices, dehydrated lemon. Cheers. And lastly, this cocktail we're currently working on, I'm going to grab a glass. This is a Fish House Punch. It is a very old, several hundred-year-old recipe that dates back to Philadelphia. Involves some very neat techniques, things as oleos, sacrums, and such. But we're going to bring it back. We are a fish and seafood house, so we're going to revive this in a new way. This one, since it is still under beta phase, so to say, is not all bottled. So we have a little 2 blends of rum. We have Marsh House out of Avery Island. We have 3 Roll out of Baton Rouge. A blend of that. We infuse fresh peach for a period of 3 to 5 days. With that, we're going to have some fresh peach syrup. Peach puree. Some pineapple juice. You just want that sweet, rounded acid that pineapple juice provides to really help lift up the peach. You think that it's going to mask it and kind of muddle it out, but it actually does the exact opposite. Then of course, some more traditional lemon and lime. So one cool thing about this cocktail is time changes the cocktail. With Fish House Punches, black tea was a very common ingredient. We mildly incorporate that to create a consistency and a control on the cocktail. But what we'd like to do is put a tea bag into the cocktail so that as it sits, it naturally changes. Full transparency, I have no idea what this tastes like. So I'm gonna grab a straw. Great acid, great lift, great brightness. Feel like I need a little more peach in there. So we'll just throw in about another ½ ounce of the peach puree, not to add too much sugar content with the syrup. Quick reshape. Top with some more ice. And lastly, with this one, we do a salted peach foam. This is where we get weird with you. I was describing this earlier, discussing it a little bit. You know, we want to take these familiar ingredients. We all know some good Ruston peaches in Louisiana, right? And we just kind of elevate it a little bit. We provide things to people that they're very familiar with. And at last minute, we're going to throw on some salted peach foam. This is just like having a salt rim on a margarita. And that happened. Well, because of this, you will get to see what peach foam is before it becomes foam. It is a peach solid, right? This is what sets after you boil it. When it cools completely, it becomes more of a solid form. Take 612. Back to our peach foam. All right, so everything in the glass so far, we had our peach and tea infused rums. We have a peach syrup, we have a peach puree, some lemon and lime juice, as well as citrus oils. We put in a black tea bag. This is going to incorporate as the drink sits. Then, of course, our topper, our peach foam. Do that. And then lastly, we incorporate a lot of, we use a lot of lemon peels, orange peels, lime peels, and all this stuff. A little more rare do you see zest. This is one of those situations to where we're gonna go ahead and the guest is gonna incorporate all this peach and salt foam into the cocktail. So this is a great time to be able to use zest. It's gonna be very fragrant, beautiful as well on top. We're gonna do both a little lime and for more of a brightness, a little lemon. And this is the Fish House Punch. Cheers.